So here we go with an introduction to a new chapter after a test. Um, we're going to be shifting gears here a little bit. Instead of talking about specific pieces, we're going to talk more about the overall process and different factors that can influence this kind of package of strategy meeting the environment and strategy meeting capabilities now that we've kind of worked through all of those things. And the place we're going to start with this is with the notion of the industry life cycle. Uh, the life cycle, is a pretty familiar concept. We tend to think of it with the product life cycle, introduction, increase in sales, maturity, and then decline. But the same pattern tends to be seen in industries. Uh, Right. So a new industry gets started, usually often from a new technology or a new business model. Um, you see firms kind of messing around, figuring out what's going to happen with it. Eventually, things move into a growth period. Some point, kind of saturation is reached, and we hit maturity. It lasts a while, and then eventually the industry declines. So, Uh, why do we care about something like this? Well, we partly care because we can see some real differences in what tends to happen in an industry over the course of the life cycle. For example, shifts from product to process innovation. Generally, there's new product innovation often that starts the industry going. And you'll see new product innovation for a while, and then you'll see that start to, at least the rate of new product innovation begin to decline and to be replaced by increases in process innovation as firms shift from trying to determine the product to determine how to better make the product to bring price down, etc. We also see changes in demand and knowledge and other things. So a table like this uh, kind of shows in general what happens to demand, the nature of technology, how many and the variety of products, number of firms, and even key success factors as you move from introduction to growth to maturity to decline over a period of time. Uh, this is kind of the area we want to be looking at now, and for the next few lessons, at least in this broad area. Um, However, some things to think about as you read through the chapter and go through the rest of the material. A big question to me is the life cycle pattern really typical? And I think, like many things, the answer is yes, but. So, yes, but what? Well, yes, but typical does not mean always. We can find examples where the life cycle pattern doesn't hold. Uh, Typical in broad concept, but you see huge variations in the length of each stage, how long it takes to move from introduction to growth, how long it stays in maturity, etc., the level of sales that are reached. And there's this reality that a life cycle pattern can much more easily be drawn in hindsight when we can go back and look at historical changes in the level of sales and the number of firms, etc., than it can be predicted looking forward. So, while the typical drawing is something like this, there are industries with great variation, so it might look something like this, where it flattens out sooner. Total industry sales don't ever get that big. It might be something like this. Certain commodity kinds of products, staples, uh, food might be one. You introduce your growth, and then maturity happens for a long, long period of time. Or you might get something like this, quick run up, and then it gets replaced by something else. So, yes, we saw growth, but it went almost immediately then into decline in a short period of time. Again, in hindsight, it's much easier to draw these than it is to predict where a firm is going to go next and therefore what it means for firm behavior. So I'm not knocking that you can think about differences in life cycle stages and think about what that means for the firm, but I guess I'm trying to get you to think a little bit about an alternative. Um, because you see things like this. You see things like motorcycles that matured, started declining, and then had a resurgence. You see televisions where new changes in technology led to kind of recycling, new little life cycles um, from black and white to color to flat screen to HD to whatever is next. So, could someone have predicted that if we were in the black and white television era and into maturity? Maybe people would have said, oh, it's a mature market, then you got to compete only on cost and no new products. If everyone had done that, maybe we never would have had color TV. So, again, maybe an alternative to try to get you to think about is, in addition to the other yes buts, is maybe that yes, but it can be a result of the actions of firms in the industry rather than just a cause or an influence on firm actions, which is how we typically portray it. I.e., the life cycle is in the mature phase, therefore firms need to compete this way. What I'm really saying is that the actions of the firms in the industry can, in some instances, influence or determine the pattern that the life cycle will take. That is, if firms do certain things, a life cycle may take off sooner, may stay mature longer, or on a negative, may decline quicker. So it is both a cause of firm actions, but also a result of firm actions. It can work both ways, and I hope you'll keep that in mind as you go through the material. And why do we really care about all this? Well, ultimately, we're going to move into the notion of firm adaptation, the fact that firms tend to resist change, and that we need to consider, how industries typically change over time and why, so that we can continue to maintain a good fit between environment, strategy, and capabilities, which is always our overall goal to ensure good firm performance. So, go ahead and read the chapters, come back, take the quiz like normal, and then we'll have some additional material kind of exploring these things.